O Lord our God, if ever we, the people, needed your wisdom and your guidance, it is now as this city council begins a new session with so many opportunities to make a difference. We pray that you will bless these leaders chosen by the people of our city, for you know them, their needs, their motives, their hopes, and their fears. Put your arm around them to give them strength and speak to them to give them wisdom greater than their own. May they hear your voice and seek your guidance. Let them not think when this prayer is said that their dependence upon you is over. May they remember that you are concerned about what is said and done here. As for the rest of us, where we cannot convince, let us be willing to persuade. For small deeds done are better than great deeds only planned. With the needs of our city before us, we know that we cannot do everything, but help us to do something for Jesus' sake. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for your attendance here tonight. First regular session of the month of June. We'll go to item 5, employee recognitions.
No employee recognitions tonight, Mayor.
No employee recognitions tonight. We all get to work.
We couldn't get them here tonight, so we'll have a few extra next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then we'll go to public comments, items on the agenda. I have 3. Carlton Turner is first, Cindy Turner, and then Wesley Hester. So Carlton, if you'll, am I missing something? No, this is not on the agenda, right?
This is not on the agenda, so this is the.
Right. Right. Oh, I see. He's going to speak to the agenda item when we get to it. All of you are going to do that? Wesley, did you? Okay, I'm confused. So, Andrew, you're saying that on behalf of the agenda item tonight on Cross Mountain, Carlton and Cindy are going to speak? Okay. What? Okay, Wesley, are you speaking on another matter?
Item 7, which is meeting minutes.
Okay. And now's the time.
Okay.
Or did you want to wait till we got there?
It's up to you. It's your call. It's your meeting.
Oh, I'm new. Let's see. Oh, this is about the consent agenda?
It's about the May 27th meeting minutes related to just the meeting itself.
The minutes on the May 27th.
So a lot of what I have to say is already, you've read it, I've submitted it already, and I couldn't do justice in 3 minutes what I can do with 5 pages. And I do appreciate you taking the time to read through that and understand where I'm coming from as a point of principle and a point of having the tough job each of you do have of being responsible for our city's direction and the citizenry. You have to deal with things that may or may not be fair statements to be leveled as in context from the public towards either yourself, Mr. Mayor, or any member of the council. And unfortunately, the way I saw it, I listened to it 3 times through that whole meeting. And clearly the public was in disagreement, and it's the council's right to decide in that matter. It's very clear, however you want to decide. It was not up to public comment. But what I took exception to was just the response when the decision was announced. Directed at a few of the citizens. And like I said, my 5-page statement, I think I better clarify the reasons behind that and why we want that dissent to allow to happen. And if somebody alleges something that is untrue, it's the right of the council to look you squarely in the eye and say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I can understand why you see it that way, but that's simply not the facts. And just let it be. I believe that if we get into a mode of contentiousness like we have with the previous mayor, the previous city council, that's not good for overall the public's direction and the commentary that we should want the exchange of, because there are people that I see here consistently who show up every meeting, after another, to give their input because they care. They care as much as you do, and you guys have taken the sacrifice of your time running for office, having to deal with public scrutiny, not always getting the approval of the public. And we value that. Also think that it's very important that the most powerful people, which are the people who elect you, are represented and heard in each matter. So I'd encourage you to listen to read through my 5 pages if you haven't already, but do appreciate it. And congratulations to all of you for being a part of this. Thank you.
Generally, they would all be done now. I think sometimes people sign up on that sheet though, when they're actually like presenting an item or partaking in the presentation of the item. And so, for example, the individuals that sign up for the Cross Mountain cross replacement, they may not have needed to sign up. Maybe they were just accidentally did that thinking they needed to sign up in order to speak.
Okay.
But typically you would have all of your comments right now for items that are on the agenda.
Okay. That's why agenda item number is on this side.
Right.
And so I had the prerogative of calling them up when we deal with the issue or have them all at once.
Right.
Okay.
The only limitation is you have to give an opportunity to comment before or during the council's deliberation of the item.
Okay.
So you can't do it after, but
Okay.
at or before.
So council, we'll discuss this when we're in workshop and we talk about procedures for the year. And I want your opinion about how to handle that. All right. So Carlton and Cindy, if you don't mind, we'll wait till we get to that part. Is that okay? Great. Thank you. I did receive one written comment. Do I just note who it was or the subject or what's preferred? I know we got two, but one of them was Wesley that spoke.
Previously, the council would just announce that they received a certain number. It's up to you how you want to handle. You want to announce who they were that provided written comments. Those are posted on the city website as well.
Okay. I just get a little concerned about my summary of what someone said. So I'll just talk about the topic if that's okay. Does that need to go on record, right? Okay. All right. So we received two written comments, one from Mr. Hesker, who supplemented his comments just now, and the other one is from Annette Bennett, and her comments were related to the many comments that she has made personally and in meetings about the importance that we manage the city and govern according to the Constitution and the desires of the citizens. And so I'm sure all of you have gotten these, but I wanted the public to know what the gist of her comments were. And thank you for that. Those of you who send written comments and those of you who come and to actually make them here. All right. Thank you for your guidance. Item number 7 now is a consent agenda. These are minute approvals. If there are, well, first of all, are there any additions, revisions, and so forth to the minutes as you've received them? Okay, then you want to move to consider them all at once. This is May 14th, May 16th, and May 27th.
I will make that motion.
I second.
Motion second to approve all three of these as consent. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, consider the approval of ordinance 2022-21, adopting and approving amendments to the city budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1 and ending September 30th, 2022. So in other words, the budget that we're in, and making amended appropriations for each affected department and account.
I move we table this subject. to maybe get a little better understanding on it.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to postpone this discussion. And I'll just carry a little further discussion since we have a motion and second, and anybody else can add. This is because we have almost a whole new council. 4 out of 5 people are new, and the one who did have input into this budget is on vacation tonight. So we are trying to do our due diligence with anything to do with finances, and we all have a lot of catching up to do with the process, not only the amendments, but the process itself. And we're just about to get to the new budgeting process for 2022-23. So I appreciate the fact that we can put this off and get further details and get our questions asked in an open workshop with with Laura and other people on her staff, just so we know more about what prompted these amendments and what the consequences are and so forth. So that was certainly my preference. Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries. So Laura, thank you for being here. I hope you understand. Okay. All right, item number 9, other action, is consider the award of bid for a 4-year lease of 70 golf carts and 3 utility carts to a vendor called Club Car. And Evan Williamson, staff engineer, will make the presentation.
Evening, Mayor and Council. This is going to be a pretty quick item, I hope. So just a little bit of background. The Lady Bird Johnson Golf Course, their current lease on our carts is wrapping up in December. So to get out ahead of that, we are and give whoever we select time to prepare those carts for us for delivery in December. We started advertising. We actually began advertising a couple of months ago. The first advertisement did not receive any proposals. So we reissued the advertisement and we received 1 proposal from Club Car. You can see in your memo there the references from other golf courses in the area. There's Lady Bird Johnson, our own golf course, Boot Ranch, Club at Comanche Trace in Kerrville, and Tapatio Springs in Bernie. So this vendor has a lot of experience in our own area. So we're satisfied in the references that they submitted. The cars themselves do suit our needs. They are 70 gasoline-powered golf carts with all of the necessary accessories, and 3 utility carts, a range cart, and 2 other beverage carts, basically. The lease itself is for 48 months, as you mentioned. At the end of each 12-month period, we have the option of renewing or discontinuing that lease, depending on what we see the market doing or what our own needs may be. So if we want to switch over to electric at some point in the future, we would have the option to do that and wouldn't be held to these 4 years of gasoline carts. So the proposal itself is approximately $70,000 a month or $85,000 a year. In the preparation of this proposal, we did work really closely with Chris Mead of Touchstone, who's managing our golf course. He's looked over this proposal as well and finds that it is sufficient for us and will do very well. So tonight we do recommend the approval of this proposal from Club Car for this lease of golf carts.
Council questions?
I know the cost has gone up. So what did it compare to the previous? I assume we do it about every 4 years. Is that right? So roughly, I realize costs are going up, but what was it previously? Now it's around 7,000.
Previously, it was $76,000 a year.
And it's now
Going to about 85.
So 9,000 in 4 years.
Yeah.
Apples and apples, 70 carts, 3 utilities. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And Mayor, if I might add, the revenue generated by the cart rental does cover this cost. And we take a look at fees when we get a little bit further behind the curve, and we'll make sure that we're at least covering our costs. It's been, I think, a couple of years before we've or since we've increased those rental fees, we've made just a slight adjustment on the green fees a couple of years as well. But the rental rate does cover the cost of the carts.
So is there any recovery from the carts we currently have, or were those on lease and they have no value as far as?
Those carts were also leased, and so they will be returned to the vendor. It was not a lease purchase.
Evan, I want to make sure I'm understanding. When I spoke with Chris, I think he said that the way that the current carts are financed, there's a balloon payment that covers December, because right now there's like a basically double time for December. So we, instead of us paying double, we would not be. Is that correct? Because we'd get rid of the current carts at some point in December and then get the new ones.
Yeah,
without
so
double.
the idea would be that as we're receiving the new carts, we're also passing those off, so we would be able to balance that out.
I have some questions, and most of them are just catching up. So why was there only one proposal?
We honestly don't know. We received some questions and some interests, but we never actually got proposals
Okay,
submitted.
so you put out the bid, it was an RFP, so what it is,
Yes,
and you only got one response.
yes,
And are they the people that serviced us before?
they are.
Yeah. Is there an option, I don't know if this is is even appropriate for the golf course, I'm not a golfer, but is there an option for electric carts?
I think we're waiting on the electric carts until we have a proper storage facility for those carts,
Oh,
where they can be housed, charged, and all that. There's a little bit of infrastructure that would have to go along
Okay.
with electric carts at this point.
We've had them in the past. I think with the little hills and what else, those electric carts seem to lose juice pretty fast.
oh, so the terrain is not great for electric carts. You golfers confirm that?
You can't ask me that.
I think the electric carts will be able to manage the terrain, but as Evan mentioned, and you'll learn on Wednesday, part of the CIP for the golf course is the construction of a cart barn so that we can charge the cars and keep them under cover during the night. So that project is coming up, but until we get to that point, the best option moving forward is gasoline carts. We just really don't have any way to manage the fleet if they're all electric at this point.
So it requires a new storage facility or not?
Correct.
From ground up?
Right.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that quite a bit more on Wednesday.
So maybe by the next 4 years?
I would say probably after, or sometime within the next 4 years, hopefully.
Okay. All right. I won't hold you to that, but like I
Yes,
said.
sir.
Okay,
Well, the good thing
in the
about
cost
this
proposal.
proposal is, at the end of any 12-month period, we can either choose to renew it or cease the lease to go to.
Do you know the differential per unit?
Between the electric and gas? I don't,
Is it probably comparable? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
probably.
Good answer. Okay. Anybody know, is electric a lot more expensive? Anybody know? Any golfers here? Okay. Just a couple of things that, because I'm picky about contracts and so forth. I'm not a lawyer and don't play one. But in the cost proposal, just the, what does this sentence mean? If any, Clint, maybe you can, I don't know if this goes to Evan or you. It's any other amounts owed must be paid by the golf course prior to delivery of the new equipment. What kind of amounts can be owed in arrears and things like that? Is that what they mean?
We had not kept on our payments with the vendor. We would have to clear up any outstanding balances.
Nothing new. It's just if we haven't fulfilled an obligation that we've already made.
That's correct.
And the other one is cars missing, equipment damaged, or excessive wear and tear. Do we know we're in pretty good shape with those?
We are.
Okay.
I mean, it would just, like a total card or something like that, if one went into the creek, things like
Yeah. Okay. And that would be true as far as you know, Evan, for the regular cards and the utility cards. They're all in, I mean, they're in 3-4 year shape. That's what I'm asking. Okay. And Daniel, do all the liability insurance limits look good or normal?
Yes, I don't have any objections to what they proposed.
Warranties look good. Okay. I know I'm ignorant about this kind of stuff, so that's why I asked. All right. Any other questions? Motion?
I move that we approve the lease proposal from Club Car.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to approve this as presented, this lease proposal from Club Car. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Evan. Thank you all. All right, item number 9B, consider and discuss the proposal of a new cross at Cross Mountain Park to be donated by the Nimitz Rotary Club. Andrea Schmidt of the Park Department Director.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Again, Andrea Schmidt, Parks Department. Eric, if you can bring up page 45 of the packet so we can have some visuals. Tonight, I'm bringing you a potential donation from the Nimitz Rotary Club for a new cross out at Cross Mountain Park. Last year, they came to me and requested to do a service project to go up and repaint the cross. When they went up there and started doing that, they found some structural issues and damage, and we've noticed it's even gotten worse since then. The cross looks a lot better being repainted, but it still needs a lot of work. So they are coming to you to get approval on moving forward on fundraising on a new cross. If you'll notice on the exhibit, that is the location of the current cross right now. So the plan is to go back with a replacement cross that's similar height and in the same location. I'm going to turn it over to Cindy and Carlton from the Nimitz Rotary Club so they can go through their presentation. And if we have any questions, just let us know.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Andrea and her crew, Mr. Mayor and council members, because they've been very helpful as we've moved forward with this progress. We in deference to the 175th celebration, we held off till the end of that before we started any fundraising. I'd like to introduce my wife, Cindy, to talk a little bit about our club, and then I'll talk and answer any questions you have about the club.
Hi, I'm the current president of the Nimitz Club, and we're about 28 members, which seems small for a Rotary Club, but we are very active. We've had 15 small fundraising events this current Rotary year, and we've raised over $26,000 that went back into the community in donations. We've given to the Needs Council, Golden Hub, Wounded Warriors at Nebo, Mission to Candelia, and Project Graduation. And this is the third year that our club has sponsored Fredericksburg Police Department officers to attend the FBI training schools. We are very committed. The entire club is committed to this project. We think that the community will get behind it because of the historic nature of the cross. We've gone ahead and secured the golf course, Lady Bird Golf Course, for a scramble tournament on October 10th. And with your approval, we'd like to fundraise for the replacement of the cross. We'd like to be able to advertise that that's the primary recipient of the proceeds of the tournament. So.
I just want to add a couple of things since y'all can see some pictures. Eric, if you'll go to the next slide. We did try to find some history on the cross, but really couldn't find much, no official plans or anything like that. But we do know the cross that's been there, that's currently there, is extremely old and been there a long time. You can go to the next slide, Eric. And we'll just run through a few pictures. This is what it looked like previous to the painting. You can just kind of run through the next few slides, Eric. And as you can see, it was in pretty poor shape. It currently has lighting on the outside of it, and we have gotten some complaints from the neighborhood that the lights are too bright. So that'll be something that can be corrected during this time as well. The new cross will not be, this is after it's been painted, so it does look a lot better, but it still has some structural issues. You can see the hail damage, probably some BB gun on there as well. But the new cross will not have the lighting on the cross itself. The electric department is working on that, and they're going to figure out a way to either light it, uplight it, or downlight it so the lights aren't on the cross itself. So if you have any questions, just let us know, please.
And I know you've tried to do some history on that, so I always wonder that cross been there a long time, probably before those neighbors moved there. But you've heard that one before. But my question is have we really, I mean, there are probably some older neighbors in that neighborhood that might have any history on that thing.
Yes, sir. The little bit of background, I understand there is I went to the St. Mary's Church, they had a publication dealing with the original placement, but I could find nothing on the current cross other than a couple of people saying it dates back to the 50s. Some people said it dated back to the 70s. With the help of some of the staff, we actually looked inside the cross, took a scope and looked in there trying to figure out how it was structurally held together. I think there was a photo just now that showed.
Go back a couple. Yeah, that one right there.
I think everybody was shocked that it was a wooden form inside with sheet metal on the outside. And this is the part that we noticed was really rusting through, and that'll only get worse. The wood on the inside with the scope looked very structurally sound. In fact, that was one of the proposals. If we don't, if you think it's better, we proceed with the cross that's there and cover it with more sheet metal. It did not look like that wood had deteriorated. But if we're looking long range, maybe a structural steel would be something bigger. And we understand that the problem with the neighbors and that sort of thing. I don't know. I didn't receive any.
Yeah, we haven't contacted. If there's anybody in the neighborhood though that you're aware of, I'll have no problem reaching out.
Oh,
to
when
them.
you say, I'm just saying, how many are we talking about? One or two, or?
We've gotten 3 or 4 complaints in the last 6 to 9 months. Before that, we actually hadn't gotten any. So just all of a sudden, in the last 6 years, the last few months, we've gotten a few complaints.
And it was repainted in January of 21. So that's been in the last.
Oh.
Is when the club went up there, again, with the help of staff. We had a lift. My only problem with that is I wish we'd have measured the cross. We don't even know the height. We took a measurement with our phone, and we came closer to 30 feet.
We think it's closer to 20 to 22 feet.
So the
we're
phones.
going to go back with the same height. We'll get an official measurement somehow.
Just a little background is talking to some friends that do engineering work and that sort of thing. They recommend the cross, the part, the arms and all are 18 by 18. And so we could go back with 18 by 18 square tubing, which they use in the oil industry. We could probably get that donated. Another friend in Midland has a powder coating company that would make it last for a long time. And that's before we did anything, we wanted to get the permission of the city to move forward. So the base will need additional. I don't think we had a photo of the base, but it looks like it's 50, 70 years old. I mean, it would need to be enlarged, and we would bring engineers in to do that part of the work.
So however old it is, what's there is contemporary material at that time?
Yes, sir. And looking on the inside of it, we best we could determine is that it was four by four posts sunk into the ground in concrete, and that's what the frame was formed around. It was very baffling. We found maybe one bolt in there that held that collar. There was a photo of a collar that runs around the edge, and there were some bolts in there. But it's sort of a mystery. I had been told there was a book about the Cross Mountain, but I cannot look at a copy. I've been to the library, I've been to the Pioneer Museum and everywhere, and cannot find a copy of the book. So if anybody's got a lead, I would love to read it.
So you talked to Evelyn Weinheimer at the.
I have not been able to catch Evelyn, but that's my goal is in the next few
I
days.
was on the board of the Gillespie County Historical Society when we deeded it to the city, so I think there should be something there.
And a couple of people.
That would have been in the 90s when we deeded it to the city.
And the structure, the current structure was there. And
it was there, yeah. Okay.
And that's a couple of people have referred me to Evelyn. I just haven't been.
Yeah.
I missed her on Friday. I missed her today, but I will get with her because I understand she does have, whether it's a brochure or book with a little more detail that would help us. That's the collar I was talking about. That's the only place we found some bolts that held that upper structure to the 4x4s that are sunk on the corners. We could see the 4x4s, but not much more.
So all you're asking of us is approval to fundraise.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to come back with a proposal as to how to reconstruct the cross. Am I
Yeah, yes, we would like y'all's permission to move forward, as in we can start the fundraising with the golf tournament that Cindy was talking about. We will keep the city staff posted all the way as we go through. One thing we've talked about is the cross would have to come down, and then before the engineers could get in there and determine, what needed to be, what we need for a square tubing structure.
How would you know how much to fundraise if you don't know how much it's gonna cost to fix it?
Once I get your permission, I'm gonna go see how much I can get donated. Because the big cost is gonna be that square tubing.
Yeah.
Will be the major cost, and so I'll make a trip and go see a company up in it.
Thank you.
I appreciate y'all doing that. I don't see any cost to the city or any concerns as long as we go through and make sure it's done properly and with the historical aspects to it. So I make a motion. I guess we need a motion to move forward with that.
Let me just ask a couple of questions for you then. Am I correct that the cross would be fundraised by the Rotary Club and the city would install the lighting?
Correct.
Is that
Correct.
what I'm hearing?
Correct. The electric department's gonna be working on the lighting even before the new
Right.
cross to go ahead and get the
Okay.
problem fixed. Now,
So-
we would have to fix that whether we replace the cross or not.
Right. So would the materials for lighting be on the city too?
Correct.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. And you don't know yet, Carlton, which proposed action you would take, whether it be replacing the whole cross or whether it would be if the wood is.
I put that other proposal in there, Mayor, just because if some people thought that was a better idea. I don't think it's a very good idea because we saw no way to disconnect that top from the bottom, from the base. And so it would be better to go in and just replace the whole structure for it to last for ages.
So Council, you're going to want final approval of the process too. I mean, materials and process. That's what we want to make sure you know.
No,
Okay. All right.
I would, a monthly report or as we go along, however y'all want us to report to.
I think for me, it's just once you get the process. Yeah. But council may want more frequent reports.
I just want to see what they're gonna do
Yeah.
before they tear the cross down. Is it lighted now?
Yes.
Because the cage over the lighting is gone. So is it
Yes,
lighted?
it's lit right now.
Okay.
And to be, knock on wood, we haven't had anybody breaking lights or anything since we took the cage down. We were gonna have it redone, but then they approached us, so we don't wanna spend the money on redoing the cage if we're gonna redo the cross.
I just want to know if the lights were
It's,
on.
it's,
Thank you.
Okay, Tony, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Does that matter to your motion or is
I'll
all
make
that?
a motion to continue the process, come back to this council once you have those numbers.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second to approve the process, give permission to go forward, and come back to us with the final cost product and engineering and all of that at the appropriate time. Any further discussion? All in favor of the proposal, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you,
Mayor
Carlton and Cindy.
Collins.
All right, it's all right with you, council. We'll move to item number 10, public comments on items not listed on the agenda. I have 6 people signed up for tonight. First is Deborah Habecker.
My name is Deborah Habecker and I live in the city. Today is June 6th and I would like to honor our American troops that landed on the beaches in Normandy for the infamous D-Day invasion in 1944. Their sacrifices, I pray, will never be forgotten. Congratulations to Clinton Bailey, our new city manager, and Brian Boyer, our new police chief. Congratulations to Mayor Hoover, Council members Emily Kirshner and Tony Klein. Thank you, James McDonald and other candidates for running and going through the proper process for a seat in the Fredericksburg Council. Thank you to Shelley Goodwin and her team, Leslie and Rebecca for organizing personnel and managing our city election with integrity. The organizational preparedness was an eye-opening experience, which I so appreciated. Also, thank you to the Water Department for its in-depth current analysis. Well, Mayor Hoover, you forgot to mention you have experience with WWF. The special council meeting on 5/27 to determine a new council member left me somewhat confused and surprised. I was not aware by our 1994 Home Rule Charter that the mayor and council could choose a city council member of their discretion. Thank you, Councilor Jones, for informing us of that fact. Mr. McDonald garnered over 770 votes and went through the proper electoral process. In my opinion, he should have had this opportunity. Diversity of opinions is important in city government. Perhaps it is time, though, through initiative or referendum to update our charter to take into account voters' choices. Sharon, you are an excellent replacement as well, and I congratulate you. For future business, perhaps the council could consider and accomplish the following. Nullify the American Rescue contract and return funds already. Those funds must be returned by 2024. Bids for departmental capital improvements be fully transparent, detailed, and published in the city website or local newspaper. Any city lawsuits, if legally possible, information discussed openly in city meetings. Any contracts negotiated for sale, purchase, or lease, transfer of assets openly discussed. Lastly, no special tax incentives granted to developers for future projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Jerry McCorkle.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members and City staff for allowing me to speak tonight. None of you in the City Council were here last year, with the exception of our City Manager now, because there was many of us that objected to our present or previous City Council signing a contract with the federal government for federal funds because there was no strings attached. And we fought and fought and fought against that. And in Breitbart News on the 1st of June, it says, Biden administration forces K-12 gender ideology compliance with lunch money threat. Our kids right now get lunch money and other benefits from the federal government. And they are now being told that if we don't address the fact of sex education and any discrimination, any form, including it on sexual orientation or gender identity, they're going to stop these funds. So we tried to say there was strings, and they kept saying, no, there are strings with federal money. There's no such thing as free money with our federal government. There was a statement made in there that says to receive such assistance, the Biden administration is forcing schools to comply with allowing boys to use girls' changing and restroom facilities, as well as sleeping areas, and forcing teachers to use inaccurate pronouns to describe children who believe they are transgender. If a school feels like they cannot participate because it's in conflict with their mission or values, if a religious exemption is not granted, you're taking away a program that's feeding low-income kids. So I just want to say that this is just more proof of how the federal government has strings to all of their money they're giving us for no matter whatever it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Ruben, is it Aguilar?
Moving, sir. Within the vicinity, sir. Protein, sir. I'm here. Greetings, everyone. My name is Ruben Aguilar. I think I'm going to upset many people with this speech, but well. But first, I wanted to reference Kerrville. They give their citizens 4 minutes to speak, and there's less people here. So I was hoping that we could get 4 minutes instead of 3. The destruction of our country will not come from war or pandemics, I assure you. Governments love money too much to destroy the world, but from illegal immigration. No country on earth can sustain millions of illegals. Our resources will be depleted. Also, 85% of these illegals are criminals. Mexico and Latin America are known as femicide nations. Women, little girls, elderly women are murdered in alarming numbers. Mexico's new president said he will not intervene as it's part of the culture. Look it up. And he said women are liars. Is it any wonder women are being murdered here in Fredericksburg by illegal aliens? Yet when someone like me who knows what he's talking about tries to sound the alarm, we are vilified and persecuted because they don't want us to scare money away, tourists and investors. They don't care about safety, only money. Don't expect the newspaper to tell you the truth either. I tried. Research the femicides of Mexico and Latin America. It will shock you. All these murderers of women and children are here now, working among us, building, painting, construction, even restaurants. Yet when an American tries to go get a job, he has to fill out an application and pass a background check. Wow. Sex slavery is rampant to cater to all these men. Watch ABC's Juju Chang's America's Secret Neighborhood Brothels. It's worse now, and it's all around us, but nobody cares, especially law enforcement. Go on YouTube, look up cartel gore, Disturbia, cartel violence, so you know who our new residents are. Venal and evil people are trying to destroy our country. They want to replace God with mysticism, with weird and gruesome neo-sexual liberation. They want to replace the Constitution, law and order with chaos and tyranny. So you will not silence me nor chase me away because this isn't about me. It's about my country, the country that my father and all my ancestors fought. USA, Republic, overall.
Thank you, sir. Wesley? Esker?
I would like to take a second to also commemorate the day, June 6th. 78 years ago, our brave young men went overseas to help liberate Europe from the tyranny of the Nazi regime at a great cost. And in that time, being the most daunting undertaking, our president prayed with the nation. He ended it by saying, "With thy blessing, we shall prevail over the unholy forces of our enemy. Help us conquer the apostles of greed and racial arrogances. Lead us to the saving of our country and with our sister nations into a world unity that will spell a sure peace and a peace invulnerable to the schemings of unworthy men, and a peace that will let all men live in freedom, reaping the just rewards of their honest toil. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen." I don't think it could be better said. And we're living in another time that's uncertain, where we possibly could be looking at another world war, but also the war that we fear the most is the war against the American people itself from its own government. There are many legislators looking to undo our right to a Second Amendment. And that Second Amendment wasn't there just so people could go hunting. It was there to defend against a government. Because in the 20th century, 56 million people died at the hands of gun control, whether it be in China, whether it be in Pol Pot's dictatorship, all over Asia, South America, where gun control was put into place, genocide happened against the people. And it's time for us as a community to take a stand. If our government, the government that we entrust, that was founded for our governance, cannot be seen as a force to support the 10 amendments that were a restriction on government and come after it, we must take steps like including return of the American Rescue Funds Act back to the government. We cannot be tied to a government that is going to be an imposition on its people. And we've received 1.4 million of those funds so far, of which 2.8 million are due probably in about August. Now, if we return that, no strings attached. There's nothing that the government can take hold of and tell us what to do. And this is a very rich community. I think we can come up with creative ways to be self-sustaining and apart from a federal government that seeks to encroach on its citizenry and attack fundamental 1 through 10 amendment rights that are the basis of the government and go back 1,000 years. In fact, we're coming up on another date, June the 15th, when the Magna Carta was signed, 1,007 years ago. It was the basis for the Constitution. There was wisdom in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Wesley. Don Rodriguez.
Good evening. I also want to join with Debbie in offering my congratulations to the newly elected city leaders, Mayor Hoover, Councilwoman Kirshner, Councilman Klein, and newly appointed Councilwoman Joseph. Mr. Bailey, our new city manager. This community continues to be in good hands. As you know, I have been on the agenda before City Council on several occasions on the same topic. And I hope that in the future, you will allow me to come back and with more information and suggestions for this city so we can start the conversation on alternate energy sources for this community. Things are changing rapidly in the energy market, as you all know, you've seen the news. There's volatility in all prices of natural gas and oil. And we really should start the discussion before we get behind the curve. That's really all I have to say. And again, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Very nice. Thank you. Jeanette Harmuth.
Yes, I'm Jeanette Hormuth. I live in Fredericksburg, and I've really enjoyed listening to the comments, and I've really enjoyed watching the council and asking really important questions as the agenda items came up. That is very, very refreshing. So, several people spoke on some things I want to talk about. My dad actually fought in World War II, and he was a replacement on the beach there. He got shot pretty immediately in his leg and was laid up for like 9 months in a hospital there in England. And he never ate Brussels sprouts since because the fields were all dying, because of the war. And so it was spoiled Brussels sprouts. So he just couldn't touch them after that. But he always walked with a brace on his leg. So anyway, but my parents were really devout Christians and very, very American, really loved our country, and I'm very grateful for that. We are concerned because we do have a federal government that doesn't seem to have any respect for the people or the Constitution, and they're throwing around so many things so fast and furious. There's so many lawsuits and all sorts of complications. But this American Rescue Act funds went the city, which never held a public vote on whether they were accepting it. We didn't even know they accepted the money. They did it before they even knew what was in the contract. And many people have researched this. Eric Hammerson read over 900 pages of stuff. George Studer, who worked for NASA, he understands government contracts and these sorts of things. And they warned the city about the strings. One of the strings in particular, there's many, many troubling things about it. One of them in particular is it says, whoever accepts the money, the recipient promises to comply to all federal regulations, statutes, and executive orders. The executive orders is not spelled out. It means it could be any, now or later. As we saw with the schools, they already accepted money. Now he throws out the executive order. In Arizona, The government went back to take the money back because they dropped their mask mandates at the schools. You know, COVID was over, but Biden still had a mandate or something. It was an executive order. So they went after the money and that went into litigation. I don't know where it's at now. For the sake of I would ask you to revisit that subject, and I would like to maybe contact you all and talk to you more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, people. Appreciate your comment tonight. Item number 11 is the city manager's report.
Okay, Mayor, Council, it is budget time again. For those of you that are familiar, I think Mayor Hoover's been through this process a few times. For the rest of you, I've got a handout here detailing the dates and the different activities with respect to our budget process. And really, this is an opportunity for everybody to get their calendar out and see if we have any major conflicts with any of the critical dates listed on this calendar. As you can see, this is a very intensive process, about a 4-month-long process that has already started. We're actually a day ahead with the completion of the CIP today, as you see the second item right there. But when we take a look at this calendar, the dates that involve public hearings, council workshops, and so forth, I want to make sure that, again, there aren't any major conflicts. So starting June 8th, Wednesday, June 8th, this is our capital improvement plan presentation meeting out at the golf course. I think everybody has committed to being able to attend this. By the way, I've checked all these dates with Councilman Watson, and he'll be able to attend. So again, that first meeting workshop that we have at the golf course, 9 a.m., June 8th, then moving to the regular June 20th meeting. We will have a council workshop regarding budget priorities starting just ahead of that meeting at 4 o'clock. We felt it was better to have that CIP discussion, let you chew on that a little bit, and then talk about those budget priorities. One critical date, public hearing date, we have coming up is July 5th. That's Tuesday, July 5th. Public hearing for citizen input regarding the FY 2023 budget. That's scheduled for this room, the LEC, at 6 o'clock. Jumping to July 20th, and just please let me know if you know of any conflicts that you might have. If you don't have your calendar here, you can let me know in the next several days. July 20th, City Council workshop on proposed general fund budget. We'll hold that in the Fire Department training room up at City Hall. It's scheduled for 4 o'clock currently. Then we jump down to July 27th, City Council workshop on proposed enterprise fund budgets. We'll hold that out at the golf course, Cardinal Room, scheduled for 4 o'clock. August 1st, budget workshop with county commissioners. This is a joint City Council, County Commissioners meeting regarding discussion of the shared funds. The golf course again, beginning at 8:30 in the morning for that meeting. August 10th, City Council budget workshop on all funds. Again, this is after we've had a chance to present to the council, have those discussions, come back with modifications to discuss the budget, both proposed general fund and enterprise fund budgets. Again, scheduled for the golf course at 4 o'clock p.m. And then finally getting toward the end, August 22nd, we have a council public hearing on proposed budget, no new revenue tax rate, submitted to the council, approved tax rate. We will have that meeting again at the golf course at 4 o'clock. And at this particular meeting is one that generally attracts a lot of attention. Out of all of the meetings that we have, and the public is welcome to all these meetings, but out of all the meetings that we have, that seems to be the one that attracts the most attention. And for the benefit of the public, that is something that we will offer a very thorough explanation of. The different tax rates. We'll take a look at that history. We'll also talk about what makes up the total tax rate. There's been a little bit of confusion in the past regarding that. So we'll really take our time and offer those explanations. And then finally, September 19th, council adopts separate budget and tax rate ordinances here at 6 p.m. So there are some of these dates that have to fall on certain dates with respect to each other. But at this point, that is the proposed budget calendar. And again, I have looked at all of these dates with Councilman Watson. He's available. So if you know of any conflicts right now, you can let me know now. If you need to take a look at your calendar over the next several days, if you could get that information to me as we're starting to put these meetings together, schedule the rooms, things like that. We need to have alternate locations and so forth. Any questions about the budget calendar? Busy time of the year. Pretty normal. Sir.
Thanks for putting all this together. I need to double check, but
I think Laura, she's the one that's been working on it day and night. Go ahead. Next item, we have city facility security measures. Wanted to make the council and the public aware of some changes that will be coming to City Hall, potentially the council meeting room here when we have council meetings at the golf course and so forth. We had an incident on May 24th, which was the same day of the Uvalde shooting. On that day at approximately 4 o'clock that afternoon, Fredericksburg police officers received a call from a local surveying business for a disturbance. 2 employees of the survey business reported that an individual made threats to the business and employees. The individual was reported to be upset about an issue involving City Hall. 1 employee at the survey business reported that the individual was aggressive with the receptionist, the receptionist had to step in because the individual was very agitated. The individual got very close to an employee of the business, made a comment about the recent active shooter incident that took place in Uvalde that very day. The individual also stated they did not know who they were dealing with. The comments led to employees to believe the individual was going to shoot up the place. The individual then left the business, and an employee of the survey business called City Hall to notify them the individual was likely going to City Hall. Officers did respond to City Hall and stopped this individual in the reception area inside City Hall. He was unarmed, but the individual did make comments to the officers that he was not going to shoot anyone, but they needed to be scared. So this individual did spend the night in jail, was arrested for terroristic threat, which is a Class B misdemeanor. So this is the world that we seem to be living in today. You know, it doesn't seem you can look at the news without seeing something like this. So we are very interested in keeping our employees at City Hall safe. We're very interested in keeping our visitors that come to City Hall safe. We're interested also in keeping everyone that attends these meetings safe. I want you to know that when you walk into this room, that we've gone through the proper protocols to ensure that individuals don't carry anything in here they're not supposed to be carrying in. So it's unfortunate. We have a very open City Hall currently, a very, very open city facilities. But I can tell you that some individuals within City Hall and some other city facilities do have a little bit of fear currently, do not feel like they're safe. So I want to make sure that we get the proper safety and security in place so that they feel comfortable coming to work every day. So this is an item that we'll be talking a little bit more about with the council throughout the budget process. And it'll be a combination of adding probably some magnetic door locks, getting those frontline employees behind some barriers that will protect them if someone does walk through that front door. A lot of the things that you see cities across the state and the United States doing more and more of. So again, this is something we'll talk a lot more about in the future, but it's something that I'm very serious about. And again, I want everybody to be able to go home to their families every day and be able to feel safe coming up to work, including all of you. The last item on my update, I wanted to talk just a little bit about the golf course financial performance. The golf course has been doing very well since Touchstone Golf took over the golf course in 2018. They have incrementally done better with each passing year. It took about 3 years to get to the break-even point where they are now making money over projected revenues. We've been able to complete a number of substantial projects at the golf course with additional cash. We had about a $250,000 bunker renovation project, $150,000 window replacement project in the clubhouse, a number of other projects that were really pretty far out of reach that we've been able to save up and complete some of those projects. For the past 2 months, the golf course has exceeded their projected revenue budget by, in April, $68,000, and just last month, about $72,000, and have, for the first time in the history of the golf course, generated over $200,000 in revenue in 1 month. So back when the city used to subsidize the golf course, 2017 being the last year of operation, between $600,000 and $700,000 out of the city's general fund primarily. We're making money, pouring those dollars back into making improvements at the golf course. As I mentioned earlier, when we get together Wednesday and talk about the capital improvements plan, one of the big projects on the list that was really just, we thought it probably belonged in that 15 to 20 year time frame, a new cart barn, about a $500,000 maintenance facility going along with that, might actually be reality in the next couple of years. So toward the end of the year, we'll be talking about a contract, a management contract extension with Touchstone Golf, maybe even a little bit longer than the current 5-year contract. So the golf course is doing really well. I think golf courses across the United States are doing pretty well generally. But I think here it's a testament really to the customer service that we see from Touchstone Golf. Very professional individuals. They have, over the last almost 5 years now, they have involved over 2,000 new youth golfers in the sport than the numbers that we saw previous to them coming to Fredericksburg. So they're doing a great job with that. I think the parents are coming out. Obviously, the tourism is helping with that. But Chris Mead will join us during that discussion. He'll talk a little bit more about the projects. But I just wanted to let the council know that the course is doing very well. That is my update. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Clint. Item number 12 is council comments. Council.
No real comments. Welcome, Sharon.
I do. And yes, welcome to Sharon Joseph, and thank you for taking on this responsibility. I want to address the comments that I made at the special meeting where we appointed Sharon as to fill the vacant slot. Mr. Hesker referenced this. I just want to say that I apologize for letting my analysis become a rebuke, because as I look at the list of people who spoke to the issue, there were 13, I think, and there were only 2 or 3 that I considered to be disrespectful, and yet my response was, in retrospect, overkill, and I apologize, because I want to set the example for respectful, dignified, and thoughtful verbal exchange between elected officials and the public. I know that that makes a big difference to how you feel about the decisions we make, the deliberations, how we go about it, and just being respectful to each other. We can set a new tone in the town and in the county. We all get so weary, don't we, of what we hear going on outside the county and in the state and in the nation and so forth. And one of the things that I ran on was to try to be a good neighbor to everyone and be a good citizen along with you, because I want to hear from people and I never want to discourage anyone from speaking freely, either in a public meeting or on the phone to me or whatever. So I apologize for my part of extending the negativity, and I promise you that I will do better. And what I ask from you is that we sort of reset ourselves to a new path, because I think we've got lots of problems to solve, and we're just a lot better doing it with each other than we are at each other. Thank you. Items for future agenda. Is that you, Mr. Bailey? Or is that free for all?
Maybe a combination of Shelley and I.
Okay. That's a lot on June 20th.
Right, and I might call on other staff members that are a little bit more familiar with these particular items. We have number 2 under June 20th, zoning land use change for 1603 and 1605 East Main Street. Garrett?
Yes, that's just a rezoning right across the street here. It's Mr. Jeffrey Moran, so that'll go to P&Z on Wednesday night.
Okay, number 3, update on records management ordinance, Shelley.
I think we should push that since how large this meeting is going to be.
Does the council have a problem moving that? It's not time critical that we.
I have no problem. It's a big agenda. Let's move it. I mean, to the next meeting or within a couple of meetings?
Within a couple of meetings, I think
Okay.
we could do.
Go ahead.
Okay, we have board and commission members' appointments and reappointments, including mayor's appointments, EDC, CBB, and.
Yeah, I've been called about this, so we need to get that done.
Right, and Shelley, do you want to add a little bit more detail to that?
So we're going to kind of change up the process this time. Beforehand, y'all discussed it in executive session. I need to find out whether you want to continue to discuss it in executive session or put it, I'm going to do a format that I used to use in another city where I tell you what each board does and their responsibilities, and then tell you what each member's terms are and how long they've been on the board, and then let you know of anyone else who's interested in serving on that board. And so,
Y'all have a feeling offhand about these discussions in executive? Yeah, I think the consensus is here that we continue in executive.
okay.
Sometimes that's helpful, most helpful.
Okay.
Okay, we have an update on Fort Martin Scott operations from the former Texas Rangers. Andrew, anything to add on that? I think we're ready to go on that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. That's hot on my list.
Yes, sir. Petition for consent for creation of a municipal utility district. And this particular proposal is for the Friendship Oaks subdivision, correct, Garrett?
That's correct.
And Daniel, I think Kent has probably submitted all the information. Y'all are ready to go on this particular item.
Give me a sense of the timing on that one that has to be done.
Well, the developer, I think, is wanting to move forward with the project, but it's really at the city's discretion. I mean, you have to have your consent to create the entity. So.
Do we have any obligations on the table right now, the city, toward the MUD?
Well,
design it, designated as such. Have we promised the developer anything?
I haven't. Kent's been primarily communicating with them, so it's possible. I don't know what they've sort of established maybe as a timeline.
You think we can get up to speed with them?
We could talk about it a little bit Wednesday
Okay,
and provide an update to the council following that meeting if you'd like.
let's leave that open.
Yes, sir.
Let's, council, be sure to jump in when you like.
Okay. Creation of CIP and general fund, resolution, Laura.
Is that on topic for Wednesday? No? Okay. That was last up. That was the CIP that last time we didn't have the, right?
Right.
Resolution from the previous meeting.
Right.
Do you think we'll be ready to go after hearing the CIP meeting this week?
We should be.
I think we're good on that item.
Okay.
Development of hotel conference center. This is an item that we've been visiting with the council members about individually. We have a meeting on Wednesday with the mayor and Councilwoman Joseph. These will be presentations by each developer to the council to determine at a later date whether to move forward with any type of incentives, city incentives for the projects.
This will be a presentation by the actual developers?
Yes, sir.
Both of them?
Yes. That's correct. And again,
We can discuss more on Wednesday.
we can
Can we
leave
do that?
this.
I'd like to do that. I have some.
Okay.
I have some input.
Right.
No problem.
Before we put it on the agenda.
Right. And, you know, I know the developers have put a lot of work into this, but, you know, as we've discussed with the council, this is a very long-term commitment.
Yeah.
By the city, and a lot more discussion to come on this before a decision will be made by the council. Okay. P&Z procedures and requirements for future agenda items.
So one thing the commission members has asked for is a process for adding agenda items to their formal agenda. So we put together a draft process similar to the one council utilizes. We'll be discussing that more with them on Wednesday night. And if they recommend approval, ultimately that will come before the city council for approval. So if they approve that on Wednesday, we plan to have that on the June 20th agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then finally, we have an executive session item regarding discussion of property located on Washington Street.
Okay.
And that's all we have for the 20th. Council have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add, yeah. I don't think we want to. Yeah, we've had to bring breakfast. We had to.
Right, and we'll add a special meeting to this list a couple of weeks from now regarding the mid-year budget amendment, so expect that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have one executive session item tonight that's on the agenda, of course. Consider and discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property located in the vicinity at the intersection of North Adams Street and Travis Street in the city of Fredericksburg. The agenda calls for us deliberation, but there's never any particular guarantee we're going to deliberate or come out and take any action on that. That's the Old Turner Hall. Okay. Oh. So nobody knows what North Adams Street and Travis is. Okay. All right, I'll take a motion.
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion second to go into executive session out of regular session. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, ladies.
I
Make
move
a
we,
motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
Motion second to adjourn, all in favor say
Aye.
aye. And we are adjourned. Eric, we discussed